evening. I just finished work. It's currently around 6 p.m. and I'm attending a breathwork session with my therapist. She's doing this workshop for free for a bunch of people. This breathwork workshop is meant for anxiety relief and how we can use our breath to help with calming our nervous system. So I'm very excited. Let's do that.
It's going to help you respond rather than react to life's challenges. And it's going to lead to feeling less stress in situations, which means increased capacity and more emotional healing. So the physiological sigh is a pattern of breathing that we all engage in deep sleep. So when our levels of carbon dioxide in our bloodstream get too high, we do this double inhale and exhale spontaneously. And you can see it in babies as well when they're crying, and animals do it too. And this is a spontaneous execution of the physiological sigh. So it's a double inhale followed by an extended exhale. And I'm going to demonstrate it, and then we're going to try it. Okay? And the reason that it works so well to relax us is because it's offloading a lot of carbon dioxide all at once. So when breath started to be researched in the 1930s or 40s, what we saw was that people were breathing at a rate of about 6 to 10 breaths a minute. But our rate of breathing now is somewhere between 15 to 20 breaths a minute. So what you can see is this, we're starting to actually breathe in our regular state in this hyperventilated state. And when we breathe in that hyperventilated state, we're actually activating that autonomic nervous system that we talked about earlier. And so by slowing down the breath into this 4-6 pattern, what you're actually doing is deactivating that sympathetic nervous system and coming into a closer state of rest and digest. Your body, on the exhale, really let the body go and the shoulders of your whiskers. You could feel like that's what I do. I'm letting to release fully
when they find themselves in social situations or professional situations where they're not
to use in that situation when you're surrounded by people, right? Like this that I do is I imagine breath, calm down, or you take your breath. So now not only are you working my voice a little bit lower, I can really feel a deep breath filling up my chest and belly and the repeated exhale. Like, I don't know if it matters, right? If you see how that goes.
Into the air fryer.
Something to take away. I always love asking my clients what is for you to super powerful.
I'm mixing some honey and sriracha. Dinner is served. Hello, it's Friday night and I just got my period. TMI. I don't feel like cooking anything tonight, so I think I'm gonna go to a restaurant in my neighborhood. I'm craving some soup, so I'm gonna go to a Vietnamese restaurant down the street. Let's go. Currently 8:30 p.m. and I think I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm sorry if this is a boring vlog, but this is literally my Friday night in the colder months. Like in the summer I would go for a sunset walk or something, but it's already too cold outside for me. I'm an introvert. I don't feel like just socialize with somebody on a Friday night after having worked for the entire week. I'm gonna read until I fall asleep. I am reading How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole Lapera. I love her work. I follow her on Instagram. I learn a lot of techniques on how to regulate our nervous system and become more aware of our subconscious beliefs and conditioning and how to change that and break out of our limiting patterns, right? So that we can live life more consciously. We can be in a state of constant gratitude and choose thoughts and emotions that we want to create, if that makes sense. By reading her and doing, you know, all the work that she suggested, along with seeing a therapist here and there, like that has completely transformed my life. I had a lot of inner child wounds and I have improved a lot. And all the stuff that she talks about in her book I already know about, but I feel like I learn better through repetition. And even though if I'm reading stuff that I already know, I feel like I still learn something new that I might not recognize the first time.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations. Cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong. I was so mistaken. Cause you glue all the pieces back together.
It's officially time that I reorganize my whole bathroom under sink area because it's not looking good. And I recently got this 2-tier organizer that can go under the sink. There it is. It looks so much better than before. Welcome to lunch with Miss Rachel. Today we're making sweet ginger pork stir fry with peppers and snow peas. So since 2021, I did a lot of inner work, lots of therapy, lots of inner child healing, things of that sort. And I feel like now it's coming to the end of 2023. I finally feel that I'm in a secure place where I know how to regulate my nervous system. And that also means that I'm at a point where I don't need to see a therapist multiple times a month anymore, which I'm very, very happy and proud of myself for. Now every few months or so, I still want to see a therapist, especially when I feel like I need a little bit of a push for some extra guidance. And today is one of those days. I'm about to hop on a call with my therapist. I think my last appointment was probably like in February, so I haven't needed an appointment with my therapist for half a year, which is a huge win for me. Every time I talk to her, I learn new things about myself, and I feel like I feel less ashamed of having certain feelings that I put so many labels on, or feel guilty about having certain feelings, if that makes sense.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm a little casual today,
Yes,
but
yes. I'm literally wearing sweatpants underneath too. You know how they talk about like you gotta practice gratitude and like feel that in your body and things like that, and I think I've kind of been struggling with that a little bit. I'm kind of struggling with feeling content. And instead of doing that, I compare myself a lot. And once in a while I would like want to delete all my social media because looking at it just kind of makes things worse. And when I compare myself, I get really critical of myself of like, how can you not be grateful for what you already have or just be content? Just like, come on, Rachel, like stop, you know, wanting more. I don't know if there's like a proper way of like doing your gratitude journal. Like most people would say like, oh, write down the things that you're grateful for at the end of the day, but sometimes I feel like I'm just making a list.
yeah.
Like there's not much of a emotions in there. Like I'm just trying to list down so that I can fill a page.
One is, you know, this whole thing about being grateful and grateful for what you have doesn't mean you can't also want more. Right? So like it's okay to want things for yourself and to want more. I don't think these two things are mutually exclusive, right? So again, like I think that whole spiritual space of like we're gonna like come into this space of neutrality, watch the path unfold, and just be content and grateful and trust in the universe, like right, like that's kind of. But we're human, obviously. We're human, and it's also okay to want things in this human experience. So wanting something doesn't mean you're not grateful for something else. So I think that was one thing. But this piece around the critical voice, I mean, you haven't seen me in 6 months. So what I mean is that you've been doing okay. You've been managing like feeling, and now you're coming into this space where you're like, ugh, like I don't know what's happening. So what that tells me though is that there's been change. There's been, and so when we move through this process of change and we work on our inner critic or our depression or our anxiety and we're managing it, when it comes back, when we haven't felt it in a while, it feels really intense because we haven't felt it in a while, right? So like just so we can like, you know, remember those pieces. But then maybe what it's also saying isn't so much about it being the critical voice, but there's a part of you that knows that maybe you've reached a space of your expansion and evolution and you might be ready for something new. So, but do you see what's happening? The anxiety that you feel, it's just, you're spinning the same story, or you're spinning the same anxiety, but you're just using a different story now. You're using spirituality to do it. We talked about that before, right? When your previous sessions where you like, I see my friends and I kind of feel envious of what they have. And so I think there's this aspect of looking to others and what they have and looking at it and going, okay, can I look at that as inspiration rather than comparison? There's a difference again too of wanting more from a place of grasping and a place of like, oh, these are like, I can look around and I can desire these things, but I'm not attached to whether they come to fruition because I also know that something else will happen. Really in like it feels like you're in this like,
push and pull.
I'm trying to figure it out. I think that is the sign of a new place of evolution. If everything was, you never felt the push and pull, you'd never be growing. You'd never be challenged.
It's more like doing my gratitude journal and like feel it. Like where's the feeling? Like I don't feel it in my heart.
I'm gratituding real hard right now. And those are the pieces that we need to let go. It's okay if you skip your gratitude journal one day because you really don't feel it. So like, is it better to do it when you feel it versus when you don't feel it and feel inauthentic doing it? And then when you notice the resistance, to not be so hard on yourself. Like you can accept that you're doing the best that you can, and on some days it feels really hard. And so instead of writing my 3 things or 4 things in my gratitude journal, I write 1 thing, which is I'm grateful that I recognized my own needs in this moment, right? Like I think that would be okay too. So you notice the difference between when you're really feeling it versus when you're just doing it. Yeah. Great. That's really good. Not everybody does. Not everybody recognizes that.
Yeah, because someday it does feel like I'm just making a list. But someday it does feel like, oh, this feels good.
But do you notice that's different about the days that it feels good versus the days that you're making a list? What's going on in your life?
So the day that I make a list, it's more so like a chore. Like, oh, I can't break my streaks. I have to do it every day.
Yeah. Okay, so versus I really would like to do this.
Yeah.
And how does... Okay, well then, so here's the 2 options for you. One is you've now become attached to your gratitude list. So like it's a competition rather than for the purpose of gratitude. So one, you could invite yourself to break your streak and be okay with it. Or, and just say, I'm going to do it when I feel it.
Right.
Or number 2, stay with your streak and make the list And what you're actually grateful for is your discipline and your ability to follow through on a promise you've made for yourself. And now I've achieved that as well. So to remind yourself that you are where you once wanted to be.
Hi, so I just finished my therapist appointment. So my little homework from this session is just to catch myself when I feel guilty about wanting more and say, hey, it doesn't mean that I'm an ungrateful person for wanting more. 2, how many people I can help or impact by me achieving this desire. And 3, me having this desire can be a good thing because it allows me to feel inspired, motivated to grow and to expand. If certain day I don't feel that grateful, or I don't feel like making a list, making my gratitude list, then maybe I don't have to do it. It is enough to just sit, take a deep breath, and remind myself of just one simple thing that I cherished in that moment. It doesn't have to be this whole full-on one page of all the things that I'm grateful for, and to understand that this is a journey and not to force it, because at the end of the day, gratitude practice is something that will make our day easier, and I don't want to use it as a means to an end or like treat it as a chore. So it's more about allowing myself to be like, hey, it's okay if I don't feel that intense feeling of gratitude today, and we'll try again tomorrow. If you're watching till here, thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave me a comment below. I love reading the comments. They really warms my heart. It motivates me to create more videos, and it really acts as a reminder of like, hey, I'm doing something right and I gotta keep doing this. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night or day wherever you're at, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.